Greetings, fellow Mouseketeers. Tiki here.
And Jacob Wile, too.
And tonight, we're talking Mr. Banks on a special 88th birthday edition of Mickey Mouse, talking about our top 5 personal Mickey memories. Jacob, how you doing tonight?
Doing great, Diggy. We're here to celebrate the birthday of one of the most famous icons in the world.
Yeah, and I have that icon through a timeline to the 90s if I could just get my camera in focus, which my camera just doesn't seem to be cooperating as always. But regardless, Jacob, we have 5 memories, and I want this to be very personal to us, very personal to our own upbringing and how we came about as, like, lovers of cartoons, podcasters, all that good stuff. Of course, me, I've had my rise in the Disney fan community with the Imagineering competitions. Jacob, you've had your own personal journey. So we're here to talk about how Mickey shaped that personal journey. At least that is definitely kind of the way I structured the list. So, Jacob, without further ado, I would like to go ahead and flip a coin to see who wants to go first. I have with us my 1963 to 1964 World's Fair coin with the Omnisphere right there.
Cool.
And then the what is this? The New York State exhibit is the tail side. So, Jacob, I'll flip it and you call in the air, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
Tails.
Tails? You got it. All right, Jacob, what's your number 5?
All right, my number 5 for the first one I'd like to announce is the Mickey's Dangerous Chase game for the Game Boy. That was a game that, other than things like Tetris and Pokemon, and Mario. Those were the only games I had for the Game Boy at the time.
Yeah, we'll definitely be getting into Mickey in video games because I feel that's kind of a weird prominent part of this role. Even stuff that's not on our list, like let's say Epic Mickey. Epic Mickey is still kind of one of the things that brought Mickey into the pop culture landscape again.
Pretty much. But I mean, I don't really have a lot to say about this game, but it's like something I needed to fill out the list. You're like, one of my earliest gaming memories is playing this game. And how frustrating at times it was because I had no idea what I was doing at the time.
I assume it's Capcom developed.
It might be. I have to check on that.
Because Capcom was doing all the. I'm going to praise the hell out of Capcom in a bit here with one of my entries, but Capcom pretty much did all the Disney games for a while, like into the 90s. So I'm sure it was probably Capcom that developed that.
Yep, it was Capcom.
Cool. All right. Yeah, Jacob, I never actually played that game myself, but I am going to talk about the Super Nintendo equivalent to the Mickey Mouse games in a bit here. So anything else you want to say about that?
No, it's just that it's basically Pete steals a birthday cake and Mickey goes after it, tracing him through various levels of enemies and things like that. I mean, it's just like one of my earliest gaming memories, and it involves Mickey.
Cool. Okay, so let's get to my number 5, Jacob. My number 5 would be the Goofy Movie cameo.
Nice.
I would put this on level with the Big Bird cameo from
Muppets.
The Muppet movie. Yeah, like I saw that and this around the same time, and both of them were kind of just like, oh my god, cartoons and puppets and crazy things in different franchises can cross over with each other. And God, Jacob, look where we are now in pop culture with that.
Yeah, seriously.
But anyways, just I don't have a ton to say about this. That's why it's at number 5. It's just a really, really quick 5-second gag where Mickey just pops up with Donald. Of course, he's a hitchhiker on his way to I don't know, is he on his way to California? I think, I'm not sure.
I don't know. All I know is that he takes place in the song.
Yeah, sure. I'm just kind of trying to think if he was going, if his destination was anywhere in particular, like if he was going to Disney World or something. Who knows?
Might have been in the lyrics he sung. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen the movie.
I feel like I should know this, and I don't. So, folks, if you know this, please put in the comments and correct us. I want to say he's going to California. That's my gut instinct, but again, I am not completely sure. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the context. All that matters is that he quickly pops up. What?
Is that I wouldn't be surprised.
All that matters is that Mickey quickly pops up on the side of the road asking for a ride, and you're just like, oh, no, okay, the lyrics are, it's California or bust.
Okay.
Yeah. My brain just triggered there. Yeah, they're definitely going to California. Sorry, folks. Well, Jacob, do you know where they're going?
California.
California.
Yes.
Okay. Saved it with a wizard joke. Anyways,
and one of Mickey's few theatrical feature-length appearances. You know, barring Fantasia and Fun and Fancy Free, of course.
Which we'll get into with Fantasia, at least. So, yeah, Jacob, that's about all I have to say about the Mickey cameo in a Goofy movie. Again, I've gone on record to say how much I absolutely adore a Goofy movie. I think it's one of my personal, all-time favorite Disney movies in any capacity. I don't care if it's technically done by Disney Studios. It's just a wonderful, damn good movie. And just having Mickey in there is that little nugget. It's just like, oh, there he is, yay. Jacob, you know what that was? It's almost kind of like, I want to say that was, even though it's not very hidden, I want to say that was like my first hidden Mickey. I mean, it's very obvious, it's very there, but it's like, it's to teach kids, like, look, kids, Mickey shows up where he's not really supposed to be. Yay. Welcome to the rabbit hole that is hidden Mickeys. Have a good time. We have some wonderful gifts on the way down for you.
I mean, if only I would have thought of Fantasia, but Fantasia on this list, but I'm guessing you have it somewhere on yours.
I definitely have Fantasia on my list. Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing I didn't have it on mine then.
Yep,
but honorable mention for me, Fantasia.
Okay, so Jacob, what is your number 4 then?
Even though this one more mainly focuses on another character, my next one would be Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Okay, that's fair enough, because Goofy movie obviously focuses on different characters as well. But yeah, Mickey's Christmas Carol, not exactly the best named, because Mickey is very much a side character, but he does have a lot of good stuff to do in it. He's a great Bob Clampett.
I guess it rolls off the tongue and is better for marketing than Scrooge's Christmas Carol.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, obviously, it's definitely a marketing thing for sure.
Yeah. Because the main focus of this 30-minute 30-minute thing is basically a shortened telling of Scrooge McDuck in the role of Ebenezer Scrooge.
Mm-hmm.
But Mickey does play an important role in it.
Yeah.
As the guy who works for him. I remember watching this in its own, when it aired on its own, one time when it aired during the House of Mouse, among other things. But I just think it's a very interesting Christmas short. And it's a very good adaptation of the Christmas Carol, even though it probably leaves out a lot of important elements. It's actually pretty. It actually even retains a lot of pretty dark elements in it too.
Yeah, I would say it's one of the more dark Mickey shorts that actually went theatrical and was in a theatrical run.
Yeah, I mean, it should, especially considering the end with the Ghost of Christmas Future.
Oh yeah, that always gets. That's dramatic filmmakers love to go nuts with that last act for sure.
Yeah, the death of Tiny Tim.
Sure.
Scrooge McDuck basically facing his mortality at that end. And props to Alan Young for that, though. I mean, I think that was one of his first big roles as Scrooge McDuck. Mm-hmm. I think that was before he got into DuckTales. Correct me if I'm wrong, though, or it could have been around the same time as DuckTales.
Yeah. Anyways.
Either way, I think I've talked enough about this, but I still think it's a very solid, despite what some people say about it.
No, I don't think I'd say the only complaint would be that Mickey's not really much in it, Jacob, but in spite of it being called Mickey's Christmas Carol, but I don't think anyone outright dislikes this movie at all. I think it's a very well-renowned short film. I think the only thing that kind of eclipses it is definitely a Muppet Christmas Carol. Kind of, it's living in Muppet Christmas Carol's shadow, I would say.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, so my number 4, Jacob, is Steamboat Willie. But I have a specific memory of Steamboat Willie seeing it in the Main Street Cinema at Disneyland.
Oh,
Because
nice.
Steamboat Willie is something that I had heard a lot about. I had seen like clips and little bits and pieces of it here and there on the Disney Channel, but I had never gotten a chance to actually see it. And this was before Disney DVD or before anything like YouTube or anything like that. So I went to the Main Street Cinema at Disneyland, and this was honestly one of the best surprises of one of my first trips to Disneyland, where Main Street Cinema was like now showing Steamboat Willie in full sound. And, of course, Main Street Cinema, they have the 6 cartoons playing kind of like in a circle, and Steamboat Willie's the most prominent one, and it plays with all the sound and everything. And Jacob, I just love the Main Street Cinema at Disneyland. I can't go on enough about how much I love it. You have Tilly, who is the ticket taker, the woman behind the ticket booth. And she is lovingly adorned with seasonal outfits like Halloween outfits and Christmas outfits throughout the year. So they do have a personal lore to the attraction with Tilly, which is great. But of course, the best part about it, Jacob, like I said, is just going in there, seeing Steamboat Willie, watching Steamboat Willie for the first time. Of course, there's better Mickey shorts out there than Steamboat Willie, but you got to give it credit for just being the first one to really break into the mainstream. I mean, of course, we'll go into like technically Playing Crazy was the first Mickey cartoon produced, but all that good stuff. But
praise be to Up High Works.
Of course. Praise up. But Jacob, Steamboat Willie, obviously with the sound thing, it was groundbreaking. And so just being able to go to Disneyland and still appreciate it from a historical perspective is something that I really, really like in the context of the Disneyland experience.
I don't know if they have something like that in Disney World, though. That would be neat to see.
They used to, but yours became a gift shop.
Oh, man.
So points to Disneyland there. All right, Jacob, what's your number 3?
This actually kind of ties into the last one. I'm actually kind of switching one of mine because I realized that I'm switching something else. I'm switching this one with my number 2.
Okay.
Watching House of Mouse when I was younger.
Hell yeah. This is one that I very easily could have put on my list, but I let you have it just because I assume you probably have even stronger memories of it than I do.
Yeah, I mean, it was airing on Toon Disney like the very early 2000, 2001, around that time when I started watching these kind of things and retaining the knowledge of what I watched.
Sure.
This is when I began to recognize, hey, that's Mickey. Hey, it's Donald, Goofy, all those guys. It introduced me to a bunch of the Not only did it introduce me to Mickey, it introduced me to the a gateway for a lot of other Disney characters, movies, and other things. Even some very obscure ones
even Clarabelle was a major player in that show, which is great.
Horse Collar.
Of course, yeah.
It showed a bunch of classic old shorts even.
That show really was a wonderful kind of educational tool for animation history, if you think about it.
even showcased a lot of new ones, sure. Hey, these new ones stand up with the old ones.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Well, like I said, cross that with a bit of the Muppet Show, and you got yourself a good show. But like I said, I was growing up around the time, and that's when I began to recognize these characters and understand and you're like, hey, I know that. I know those guys. I recognize these now. It was basically my first main animated introduction to Mickey.
Cool.
So I definitely credit House of Mouse with getting me to recognize these characters.
All right. Yeah. Great.
I think that's all I have to say on that. I mean, not much else I can say about House of Mouse other than the brilliant formatting of it and everything.
Like I said, I think it's a really good teaching tool to just get kids interested in animation. I knew I was more interested in looking into the obscure characters thanks to House of Mouse. So, yeah, I love it for that reason, for sure.
Heck, they have the Reluctant Dragon in there. I mean,
I know, right? We should do a podcast about the Reluctant Dragon at some point. That's a delightful ass movie. Anyways, so Jacob, my number 3 is kind of tying into your number 5. It is the Super Nintendo Mickey platformers.
I don't think I ever played that.
They're such good games, Jacob. They are such good games.
I know Capcom made a lot of those Disney games, especially DuckTales, like the one that everybody remembers.
DuckTales is the most famous one for sure from the NES era. They also did most of the Disney afternoon stuff like Rescue Rangers,
Darkwing Duck,
of course. And then from the SNES era, they did stuff like and The Little Mermaid, The Lion King. I think the most famous game from the SNES era is Aladdin, and Aladdin is just damn good.
The game's almost infamous for its difficulty, though.
It is, but it's still just like in terms of game design, it's still spot on, even though it's difficult.
The fun fact about the Goof Troop, though. The guy who I don't know if you've heard of Shinji Mikami, like the guy who created Resident Evil. That was the first game. That was the first game he worked on.
Okay, fair enough. Cool.
Like he did, and apparently some of his later games actually run on a modified engine of that game.
Anyways, so.
But about the Mickey game.
Yes, Disney's Magical Quest, the Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse. That is what the game was. Jacob, I have such fond memories of renting this and just being absolutely blown away by it. Platformers have always basically been one of my favorite video game genres next to puzzle games and simulation games like Roller Coaster Tycoon. I love platformers. Of course, Mario is the gold standard. I also think Donkey Kong Country is about one of the most perfect video game trilogies out there. And that was kind of my gold standards as a kid, was the Donkey Kong Country trilogy. And as a big animation fan from when I was a kid, along comes this SNES platformer kind of laid into the SNES run, the Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse. And Jacob, they nail it. Like, the game looks straight out of a Mickey Mouse cartoon. It is a beautiful looking game. The sprites are vivid. The animation on the characters is great. All the enemies come straight out of Mickey Mouse cartoons. So there's like references galore. All the levels are themed to different Mickey Mouse cartoons. It's a wonderful game, Jacob. That's really all I have to say about it. It's a fantastic platformer. It's got, from what I can remember, the gameplay was quite decent. I mean, it's probably not quite as not quite as smooth as something like Donkey Kong Country, but still quite decent. But just being able to experience the Mickey Mouse world and kind of to see the Mickey Mouse world come live in that way, and to see all these different characters and different enemies and stuff and different worlds in one video game was great, Jacob. It was wonderful. I such strong memories associated there.
I really wish I had an SNES.
Yeah, well, go back. It might be on the virtual console somewhere. Who knows? But
I'll have to check it out, though. Just a side note, did you ever play Castle of Illusion? I never played that.
That was another one in the series. Magical Quest was definitely the one that I had the most nostalgia for and the one I played the most. I might have played Castle of Illusion at some point.
Because I know they remastered that recently.
I also remember playing a Game Boy Advance remake of Magical Quest. So there's that too. Anyways, so Jacob, with that in mind, that's why Magical Quest is one of my favorite memories. That's why it's my number 3. So I guess, are we on your number 2 now?
Yep.
Chugging right along. Okay, cool.
We're breaking out for my number 2. We're breaking out of the world of media and into the real world with meet and greets at Disney World.
Nice.
I've only been to Disney World several times in my life. Only one or two. I've been there like 3 times apparently, and I can remember vaguely 2 of them.
Uh-huh.
But This goes for really all the characters. The first time I went there, the second time the first time I can remember going there, I was apparently scared of all the characters. And I cried in all my pictures with them. Yes, like there's a picture of me with Mickey. I was crying. Yes, I'm being serious.
No, it's all good. I was terrified in Disneyland the first time I went there.
It wasn't everything else. It was the characters. I was like, why is he so big? This isn't Mickey. but upon my visit, upon my next visit, I recognized the characters obviously, and I loved just going around getting their autographs, seeing them in the parades, seeing them in the shows. Like basically going to Disney World and meeting all these characters come to life was basically just a very surreal experience to me at the time. I mean, it was just like seeing Mickey in all the parades, the parades at night, going around. I mean, basically meet and greets in general, but me since Mickey's the most prominent one. I actually remember seeing him get into a fight with Maleficent on the castle, like during like a show or something.
Are you sure that wasn't Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios?
It wasn't Fantasmic. I mean, that's a night show. It was during the day. Like Maleficent was doing something on the castle, and I believe.
Oh, I just want to make sure it wasn't Fantasmic. That's fine.
Unfortunately, I have not seen Fantasmic. I mean, I really wanted to though.
I'm actually going to talk about Fantasmic pretty soon, but
I mean, I've heard it and seen it,
sure,
but I haven't.
Sure.
But I've seen like footage of it, but I haven't seen it in person, which is probably a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
But is it basically meet and greets at Disney World, like permeated by Mickey Mouse and all that? I mean, I put that above House of Mouse because that's more personal to me.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see why. I think that's almost kind of like a rite of passage with any Disney fan is meeting the characters in person.
Yeah, I mean, that's strangely enough, that's not number one though, because my number one pick is kind of an interesting one.
Okay, cool.
But this is definitely a close contender. Like meeting the characters, like actually putting like you can basically touch Mickey Mouse now. Like you can go run up and give him a hug. I mean, like it'd be kind of creepy for us to do it now, obviously.
Well, nowadays what I do is I look for more obscure characters. That's kind of what I like to do. So I did Dr. Facilier last trip. Next trip, I'm going to look for Oswald. Kind of look for those types of characters.
Yeah. Well, but in short, basically meeting the characters, meeting Mickey, the mouse himself.
Cool. Okay, so Jacob, my number 2 is going to be the classic, the one and only, The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Yes.
Really?
Yes. Okay, so let me just bore you with some details about my family, okay? About my, growing up and upbringing. So we had VHSs that one of our neighbors recorded off of the Disney Channel when they would play Disney movies. One of them had, I don't know, 101 Dalmatians and The Jungle Book. The other would have something like The Little Mermaid and The Rescuers Down Under. You know what I mean? And so that's how I got a lot of my Disney movies that way, was through a neighbor who would record them off TV. But one of the movies they never played off TV because it was probably too long was Fantasia. So I remember Fantasia was an event when I saw it for the first time. I had heard about Fantasia. I saw, I knew about the image of Mickey as the sorcerer. And then...
I mean, they basically use that image in all their promotional home video stuff.
Of course. Especially in the 90s with the whole sorcerer Mickey, like da 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 da.
Yeah, the home video intro.
Yeah. But no, so picture me, Jacob. I'm about 4 years old. I'm just starting to get into Disney movies, and Fantasia kind of eludes me. And we're in the grocery store. I've got fried chicken strips, and I can't wait to get my fried chicken strips when I get home, man. I distinctly remember that. Yeah. And then I see on the Albertsons video store, on the Albertsons grocery store, they had a little video rental counter, and one of the movies, another movie I vividly remember renting from Albertsons was The Land Before Time. We'll talk about that another time. But I saw Fantasia. I saw just the cover of Mickey as a sorcerer, and So that was it. That was the movie we were going to watch that night. And Jacob, I was blown away by it. Like me as a 4-year-old, I was so damn intellectually stimulated by the whole thing. I was absolutely riveted by it. Just the whole concept of the color and, like this is what the animators interpret when they listen to the music and all that. Like I said, intellectual stimulation is the best word I can describe for Fantasia, really. But yeah, I mean, what can I say about the Sorcerer's Apprentice other than I think it's placed in the exact perfect spot in Fantasia. It's kind of like the middle piece. It's the thing that gets kids engaged with it. I definitely think, Jacob, it is probably the single best Mickey Mouse short. I would wager to say, like, it is on the top of the top. It is on the top of the pile. It is like the king of the hill in terms of Mickey Mouse shorts.
Yeah, can't really deny any of that. I unfortunately didn't get into Fantasia until my late teens because that's the first time I actually watched it.
I mean, that's understandable because it's a very methodical and slow movie, and it's more of an art experiment than anything else.
It's really not out of choice, though. I mean, like the first time, like I remember distinctly having the VHS when I was younger, and I popped it in. The first thing I saw was about the orchestra, and I was like, "What?" And I asked my mom to put it in because the TV was up high, and she was confused too, and we just popped it out and watched something else.
The orchestra confused me at first too. Now when I watch it, I love the idea of the orchestra because it sets the ambiance of the piece so well.
Well, yeah, obviously I didn't understand that when I was younger, and sure. I had other things to watch, but I got into it. I eventually got into it, and now and I watched it when I was older, and appreciated that kind of thing more. There's like, ooh, pretty colors. But no, I could actually understand what was going on.
Right.
And around that time, I also got an interest in classical music.
Yeah, and Fantasia is such a love letter to classical music as well.
So I thought I like animation and I like classical music now. Why not watch Fantasia?
Yeah, but Sorcerer's Apprentice is just
And now I can say it's like one of my all-time favorite movies of all time.
Sure.
Not just an animation, mind you, my favorite movies.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right.
But like I said, Sorcerer's Apprentice, I would say it's on the top of the heap when it comes to the best Disney animated or the best Mickey Mouse shorts. It is the best one ever, I would say. So.
Yep. Yensid and Mickey. Perfect.
I love the design of Yensid as well. If someone asks me what my favorite Disney character is, I'm going to say Yensid from now on. Honestly.
Bill Titler's work right there.
Oh yeah. Love that design. Okay, so Jacob, kill the suspense. What is your number one Mickey memory?
Now this is actually a fairly recent memory, and if you remember my list, you might have figured out by process of elimination. King Mickey in Kingdom Hearts.
And this is one that I just kind of let you have because I really wanted it as well, but I wanted us to have unique lists, and I had backups. Goofy Movie was my kind of backup choice, so
specifically the moment where King Mickey just runs into the action, throws off his robe, and manages his Keyblade and just goes into the action. That's mainly that's like Mickey's most epic moment ever.
I can't argue with that. It is pretty damn epic.
Don't get me wrong. Sorcerer's Apprentice is pretty damn epic too.
You know what the great thing about that moment is, though, is just how well they build up King Mickey throughout the game. It's just like build him up, and then finally he's revealed. You know what I mean?
Imagine the funny thing is though that the Kingdom Hearts 2 was actually the first game I ever played. Not the first game I ever played, but the first Kingdom Hearts 2 game, the first Kingdom Hearts game I ever played.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't even know, wait, what's Kingdom Hearts? But I just saw the trailer they kept airing on Disney Channel around that time, when they actually advertised the video games.
So you didn't get the experience of Kingdom Hearts 1 with all the build-up with King Mickey.
No, but they kept building up throughout that game, and that's what got me. And I still and I was
No, no,
still
no, 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 no. But Kingdom Hearts 1, the buildup was like King Mickey. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sure, like, no, don't get me wrong. Your moment is absolutely epic, and I'm sure the experience was great. But I'm just trying to say, like, with Kingdom Hearts 1, the narrative of Kingdom Hearts 1 is like basically like, where is King Mickey? We need to find him because he's the most badass guy in the universe, and he's the only one who can save us.
But trust me, I actually played. After I finished that, I played this. I played the first one, and then went back to the second one. And that moment was it seemed even was just even more epic after that.
Of course, of course.
But hey, so the way the scene's built up, especially after Goofy's death.
Oh God.
I mean, I knew he would. I probably figured he wasn't dead at the time, but still, that scene was just like. I mean, Mickey has never been more epic. I mean, like this
that
is
got to me at the time.
I mean, throughout these games, especially after the whole trip to the past thing, he even shows like the showcase the history of Mickey as well in that game. But it shows like the many sides of Mickey, the whimsical side, the mischievous side, and now the badass epic side.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
And an honorable mention here, the epic Mickey games.
Yeah, I do think Epic Mickey definitely deserves an honorable mention, as well as Jacob. Let's throw a few more honorable mentions out for stuff that we didn't get to talk about on this list. I would wager to say maybe Mickey and the Beanstalk from Fun and Fancy Free, which you mentioned earlier.
How about what's your number one though?
Do you have any more honorable mentions? Because I feel like now is the time for it before I reveal my number one.
I really can't think of anything. Well, probably Plane Crazy, but we mentioned that during our Steamboat Willie.
I'm just trying to think of anything that we really need to talk about. What about I really like Runaway Brain as well. I've always been a fan of Runaway Brain.
That was before Goofy movie.
Right.
Speaking of Goofy movie.
Sure.
Strangely enough, I didn't see Goofy movie in theaters, but I did see that I did see that on YouTube several years ago, and that was great.
Yeah, I saw it first when I had the Walt Disney Treasures collection with Mickey Mouse in Color Volume 2, which had that as the last short chronologically. But and of course, Mickey Mouse's legacy still lives on with the Mickey Mouse shorts, the new ones, which we'll be covering, Jacob. They just released 2 new ones, so we'll definitely be doing commentaries for those shortly in the future. But for now, Jacob, my number one Mickey Mouse moment is Disneyland Fun and how it ties into me seeing Fantasmic.
All right.
So, Jacob, I kind of mentioned to you in the pre-chat here, Disneyland Fun, like, it's mostly Roger Rabbit's show because Roger Rabbit was the big new character at the time, so he gets the most screen time. But Mickey Mouse does have one amazing epic moment towards the end. And it's when all the characters are going back into the castle. You know, they're going back into Fantasyland for the night. It's all sad. It's When You Wish Upon a Star is playing. And it's all like, okay, we're done for Disneyland for the day, kids. Come back and see us. And then the last thing Mickey does, the grand gesture before the video closes, is he points his gloves to the sky, like this. And fireworks come out of those damn gloves, Jacob. Fireworks come out of those gloves. As a kid, I thought that was like the coolest damn thing I've ever seen. But I was like, well, of course, there's no way I could ever see that in real life because that'd just be too mind-blowing to see in real life. Enter Fantasmic, motherfuckers! I'm sorry, but Fantasmic is like a dream come true because I remember Fantasmic the first time I saw it, and I saw it when they had the 30-foot tall Ursula float and stuff like that from the early days. That's not around anymore. And so like my mind was blown, but almost in a too overwhelming, like bad trip kind of way as a 7-year-old when I saw Fantasmic. But the one thing that made it all better, Jacob, the one thing that made it all better was at the very end of Fantasmic, when the evil is defeated and all the scary stuff goes away, Mickey gets on top of Tom Sawyer's Island, he raises his gloves, and he shoots fireworks out of his fingers. And I saw that shit in real life.
That's awesome.
Drop mic. That is all I have to say.
That is pretty awesome.
Oh my god. Just hyping up that moment so much for myself in terms of watching it on the video so many times, having no idea that was actually going to happen in Fantasmic, and then seeing it at the very end of Fantasmic. Yeah, that's got to be my number one Mickey memory. That's got to be chills, man. Just chills. I think that just represents everything I love about the character right there.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so any final thoughts on your end, Jacob?
Nothing over here. I mean, I said I wish I could see Fantasmic in person, but I didn't get the chance.
Sure.
But I've like heard audio of it, and like audio, like when people use it in audio parodies and things like that. I mean, but I've never actually seen Fantasmic, but I would love to.
Yeah, one day. It's a pretty spectacular show.
Do they still
I kind of explained why.
Do they still do it?
In Hollywood Studios, yeah, and it's coming back to Disneyland this spring, so.
I wonder if it's going to be at World, because I don't really have access to Disneyland.
Well, I said it's in Hollywood Studios at World.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So you're good. Anyways. Okay, Jacob, so I think that is it. And now's the time to say goodbye to all our company. MIC
KEY.
Oh, God damn it, you ruined it. MIC. See you real soon. KEY. Why?
I don't know this song.
You don't know this. You don't know this song. You disappoint me. Why? Because we like ya. MOUSE. No, just kidding, Jacob. Just kidding.
I'm sorry.
It's all good. Happy birthday, Mickey.